about understanding what you guys want to accomplish together. That way you're not wasting time like, oh no, I forgot to tell you, but these are triangles of death. So these are like valleys that were on the old map that you would try to avoid. All right, I'll write it down. Even if it's wrong, it's something to base off of like, okay, what did we have? What did we do before? You know, oh, we did this. We were supposed to do this. To go back to your main point of how to master mid-game, game plan, game plan, game plan, game plan.
Honestly, the way you showed us like how to break down like a drop spot, I think that's going to help a lot. But when we do actually make it out of, it seems like the only times we actually make it to end game is when we don't get into fights. Because like a lot of times what happens is like we'll get into a really good position, like on high ground, we'll like box up on like a launch pad or something because we have good loot. We don't really need to fight. And like someone will try to contest us, but then basically what I've learned to do is just like if you just build up above them and kind of just spray at them, most of the time they'll leave. But like sometimes like if we're in the disadvantage, we lose a lot of our mid-game fights. Like when it's like fair 50-50s, I just don't think we approach them in the right way.
Yeah,
like,
so,
we were a little scattered.
Let me touch on that. So all these mid-game fights and the entire like risk of mid-game is all going to be your game plan. Do you have a good game plan, and are you executing your game plan? That's what it's going to be. And if you don't have a game plan, then there's your problem. And again, game plans they don't have to be deep. They don't have to be 5 essays. I'll show you, for example, what a game plan looks like. Let me use the Ceice Thesis Discord, for example, if you guys haven't seen it. I did a breakdown on Ritzy. I'm going to do it on Mount Olympus. I just haven't had the time. And I'm going to do it for some POI next season. I'm going to do this once a season for this chapter.
I did watch your breakdown of Ritzy.
So you're looking here, you'll see all these channels, right? These are things that like, just like that POI, right? This, like you guys should be having all of this for like, how far can this pad right here take you? If you go with a fizz, if you go without a fizz, you know, how far can this pad take you with a fizz, without a fizz? All right, so you'll see here. I did this all by myself, and I did this on Ritzy, and this is all on YouTube, by the way, so you can watch this all. This took me 6 hours, and I did it just with the same knowledge in mind of the same goal that I had with you guys. Is I've never landed Ritzy in my entire life. Like for some reason, this chapter, at the start of this chapter, I just never landed Ritzy. I was just obsessed with classic courts, and I only landed classic courts for a reason. Obviously, that's where I wanted to land. That was why I was obsessed with it. Ritzy, I just never landed at. So this is a first perspective, and again, I streamed it all. It was all live. It's on YouTube, so you can go see like this is the thought process that I have when I learn a spot. So again, here I am, calculating my pad distances. Nobody taught me to do this. Nobody gave this to me. I did this all myself. Each one of these markers, I padded and went and then ran back, did it again. All right, slap distances. How far can these slap? Like all these little details outside the POI strats. You're seeing everything I just explained to you is all here because again, if I'm learning your spot right here, this spot, I'm doing everything that I'm doing here. What's the south building have? How long does it take? Yellow markers, God Rock. Yeah, it takes a minute 45 to loot and reach the POI. If you just straight up run. Quirky features, right? Like where can you build? Where can you not build? Little statistics. Leave the POI at a minute 21 in second zone to get the AI on perfect timing. It takes 35 seconds to run from the slap barrel that's down there to the forecast spawner. 28 seconds glide time. So if you want to leave with 28 seconds before the AI spawns over here, you can pad all the way to it, right? So these little things are like, this is for every spot. But anyways, game plan.
Do you recommend creating a game plan? Because it'll help a lot.
100%. So a game plan, right? This is my rough game plan that I wrote for Ritzy. And this is like way deeper than you need it to be. Like truthfully, you don't need it to be this deep. This is also a major game plan off spawn because again, I'd never landed here before and I never wanted to land here. I just wanted to show you guys how possible it is to make your own breakdown for a spot. So this is why there's no mid game. There's no like, okay, go left here or like play around this hill or play this hill for surge, right? But you're always gonna do these things in the game. 3, 2, 1, jump. Like always tell your teammate when you're going to jump. That way you have the same jump. Mark guns when you're gliding in, even on lower floors. Clear and quick communications. Where are they landing? You're not going to sit here and say, one's landing at the back building, but he's scurrying around the tree and he's wearing like a purple skin, but I think he's landing at the back building. Like, no, it's like he's landing back tower, right? We can use these call outs from before. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's landing back tower. He's landing front building, main. He's landing kitchen. What to do if you're contested? And you can write these. So that way, if you and Ceice split up tomorrow and me and you start playing and I'm like, hey man, do you have a Discord with all this information that I can like learn it quickly and get caught up to speed? Hey man, here's the invite, here's the Discord, hop in, read through these channels, make sure you're caught up to speed. Oh, perfect, thank you so much. Now I know everything I need to know. And by tomorrow when we play scrims, no break, we're good. I'm basically Ceice, but I'm better. I've got it. That's why you switch teammates to level up, right? You don't go to a worse player. So if we get clock tower plus black building, play together. This is what you would do. You'd play together, expand, claim space, talk about where they might be. The players will land apartment side. They could be going for a flank or playing on top of the buildings. If they're in apartment side, if they're in the dock side, if a team double lands black building, if we don't get the clock tower, what are we going to do? And again, this isn't like you need to follow this 1-to-1, but this is like a baseline of like, if you guys were both muted and your Discord was crashing and you couldn't talk to each other, what would you do? You would know, right? That's why I'm saying, like, when you switch teammates, it's about being on the same game plan. It's about understanding what you guys want to accomplish together. That way you're not wasting time like, oh no, I forgot to tell you, but when we land Clock Tower in Black Building, we play like this. Like, oh, okay. And there goes one scrim game. There goes 30 minutes. If your scrim games are 3 a day, there goes half your practice. So yeah, this is a game plan you can add. And then for mid-game game plan, right? It looks like, let me show you, like, this is chapter 4. So you'll see here, I've got all my servers here. Chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter pro VOD reviews. I've got chapter 4 season 1, chapter 4 season 2, chapter 4 season 3, chapter 4 season 4. I even have my own Discord. I'm not going to go in here, but it's chapter 5, right? It's got my last season stuff in here. If I want to go back to Classic Courts, I have all the strategies. If I want to leave Restored next season and then come back the next, I have all the strategies to Restored of what I learned. So I'll show you, like, the game plan here that we had. This is when I worked with a coach as well. So it was helpful to get his perspective on the game plan, but you'll see what we did here. So, okay, so game plan, right? This is what my coach wrote. Again, look how simple it was. Loot your route, figure out what you're doing, augments discussions, specifically based on zones, whether you get like the bush augment or not, if you guys remember that. Count your surge, never forget surge, talk about every 4 minutes. In game, you would just be like, rotate left, go through the middle, use your hammer, when to play without hammers, when to, without hammers, right? He's kind of doing the if plan, the what if plan. And then you see what I did here is I took what he was telling me and I wrote an in-depth game plan, because in my learning, I will always learn better if I write it myself, if I put it in my own words, if I read it through myself. Like, you could send me an essay and be like, hey, memorize this and tell me what it's about a month from now. And I would like probably half remember it unless I seriously sat down and studied it. My brain doesn't work like that. So I have to actually sit down here and rewrite it. And that's what I did. So you'll see here, in-depth game plan, 3, 2, 1. This is obviously when I started doing it. 3, 2, 1 jump from bus. If we're contested, we get top drop, right? You're seeing this looks a lot similar to Ritzy, but this is like how in-depth I would go. If we don't get top drop, quickly block the 2 entrances, splash right after block the entrances, be prepared to play quirky angles, look for the timing. And I also told this to my teammate that like he should write his version of the game plan in here, because again, I just feel like that's the best way to learn. If my teammate was to read through this, if you guys were to read through this, like you're going to kind of drool reading it. It's like, it's like a boring book you don't want to read. That's why write it in your own words. Right? So early to mid game, what would we do? Main goal is max metal. On most zones, you should leave the POI at this time. While looting, keep the clear comms on what you do and don't have, right? Oh, I need a gun with a scope. I need a gun. If I have 6 minis, throw 3 bigs at the entrance. If you have 6 minis, 6 bigs, you can drop them and carry a hammer or a gun. On north zones, on wind tunnel usage zones, right? You would talk about certain zones. Do not bloom fight mid game. Follow the rotate guide, right? Abuse guzzles. And again, the rotate guide, I'll show you what it looked like, but it's going to be scuffed here since it's an old map. But it looks like this. These are triangles of death. So these are like valleys that were on the old map that you would try to avoid. What they look like now would be like, this would be a triangle of death, right? Because you can see it's like in a valley. You wouldn't want to be here. Avoid the triangle of death. That's why you can see why I'm going around it. Like here, I'm going kind of half through it, but it's brief. Here, I'm going around it. But these are all options that we would look at. Like, I'll show you like what we did for FNCS. So here's another rotates. This is a map that we did. All right, so this is like, these are our common rotates, A, B, C. Right, so here's like A, B, C. Right, you can kind of see like there's, not saying it has to be A, B, C, it could be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I don't care. Like it could be A and B. And I still do this to this day. It's not like perfect 1-to-1 like this, but so I could look at this. This is all drawn like exactly. Like I didn't do that. I like went and was like, okay, I'm gonna rotate north this hill and I'm gonna go right over this tree and then down and then here. It was all like to the point, right? That's why it looks like it does. And so I would have this, and me and my duo, we would have our coach. I would open the zone. He would take a screenshot of the zone for a quick second. He would put it on a second monitor and he would say, okay. And while I'm looting, while I'm looking for tags in the POI, while I'm doing my thing early game, he would look at it and he would analyze it. Okay. So this team might, that's what the coach is supposed to do. A live coach, okay, this is Coney on this zone. What would Coney do? They might go here. Okay. What would Tilted do? They might go here. Okay. What can we do to take advantage of that? And he would say, okay, do B rotate. That's going to be your best for this zone. And we would do it and we would execute it and it would work. And this is like what we did in grand finals. So like, this is back in 2022. So I was very much dependent on like, hey man, screenshot this and let me know what you want me to do. And now I'm like, open the map and I can process it in like a minute and be like, okay, we're doing the top rotate. I'm talking about, teammate? Yeah, man, I know you're talking about top rotate, right? And then you're on the same page. You do A. Or hey, we're doing A. We're doing through the trees rotate. And he knows, okay, this team might be here. He knows what to expect on each A, B, and C because they all have different like problems, right? Or aspects. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
Cool. So
that does make sense.
That's your mid game. And again, this isn't perfect. This is like you're seeing. Look, we had 8:21, 8:25, 8:25, and then this is like later 12:21. But like you're seeing that like this took a bit of time to process. This is like not even at the start of the season too. We've already been landing Rave Cave for a while, and then you're seeing we did it the next season right here. So it's like it takes time, and like That's just what it is. Bushes 110.23. Let's see when we did the rotate map. 228. So it took us a month, over a month, right? Almost 2 months to make a rotate map. So again, it takes time. And look, we're here. Can you fill some out at 120? Look, I made a decent map here. A, B, right? Look at how I was doing it back then. It's kind of newbie, but it's hard to look at. But yeah, it's anyways, so you're seeing that the process, it takes time. I can't sit here and be like, make me a good surge route. I can't. It's impossible.
Right, yeah.
Make me a good rotate. I can't. Like, I don't know, unless I'm sharing all the strategies, unless you guys want to land restored reels. And again, I wouldn't share that with you guys because that's my competitive advantage.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why you have to do it on your own and over time. And I will say with these maps like this, we didn't sit here and say like this was the final map, but I'm saying that like make the map. And if it doesn't work, it's fine. It's okay. Don't be like, let's get some more games of scrims and then I'll make us a map. Like, no, dude, just like, I don't want to show you my server because I'll leak everything. But we're weeks away from FNCS, and I have rough rotates that I'm still critiquing to this day. But again, like I explained, I learn best by writing it down or doing it. So like I don't want to sit here and hold all the thoughts in my head of like, this is what we do on North Zone. This is what we do on East, West, South zones. All right, I'll write it down. Even if it's wrong, it's something to base off of like, okay, what do we have? What did we do before? You know, oh, we did this. We were supposed to do this. Okay, we just tried that and it didn't work. We should have gone left instead of right. Of this, you know, make this micro adjustment. You know, instead of going south like this, we should have gone, you know, around and then like this, right? I'll make that micro adjustment in my route. So then my route might look like this, and I'll have like kind of sections. And then let's say there's a team base here, then I'll say, okay, it's like options, right? It's route number C, but option A or option 1 of 2, right? If a team is based in the middle here, you do option 2, right? You'll do this one. So that's rotates. That's mid game. To go back to your main point of how to master mid game, game plan. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. Never. Do something. Write something like, what do you want to do? Get max mats, rotate to zone fast, play. Like you can do what Shoko did. He wrote like a full on game plan like this. And it might not be accurate, but you're going to tweak it. Like you're going to watch Trulix and Chico and say, oh, wait. With hammers, you know, what do they do without hammers? Oh, they did this, you know, they did that. I like that a lot. It worked for them. They won every game doing that. Let me write that. Let me put that in my game plan. And then you just keep going and going and going. And this is like friend groups and coaches and coaching friend groups. Like if you're familiar with like Blood X, oh, that's not Blood X.
Yeah.
I can't find his Twitter, but Blood X, like he coaches a lot of the best players. And like, if you can imagine, right, he's got all of their sample size and more to go off of. Like he's watching this team and he's telling him, hey, go left here. Okay, that worked for you. Okay, I'm gonna tell this next team. Okay, when you guard this position, go left here. Okay, it didn't work for you. Okay, now let's tweak it a bit. And then he, you know, again, he can build a master game plan way faster because he has way more access. You know what I'm saying? But not to say you can't do it. It's just a bit more work.
Right. Yeah, I think we just need to familiarize ourselves with this. Like, we don't ever use that. We don't ever make like a plan like that. Like we do make plans, but we don't ever write them down and break them down.
I think we're definitely gonna make a in-depth game plan.
That's good. It's not hard. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's something to start with.
I don't think anything hard. It's just time consuming, but it's worth it at the end. It's
really not though. It's really just like, what in your eyes, if you're landing reckless reels, what would you want to do? Just creatively think, okay, I'd probably want to go. And again, you can do zone theories, right? This is what I do all the time. Let's say I land reckless, right? Me and you're landing reckless. We're gonna look at this zone. Okay, this is the first zone we get. Where would we want to be for surge? I mean, I think this position looks pretty high. You know, this looks like a good spot to start with. Okay, let's go there. Game 1, we play scrims together. Let's go. Oh, we got max surge. Great, that worked. Okay, what about our next rotate? Do we go left or do we go to the right? You know? Okay, let's try to the right. I think that's better because we can use the tracks, right? And you're just rambling. You're just kind of bullshitting because it's the first game of the season. You have no idea how it's going to work. Right, and then eventually you just add to it. Okay, you know, maybe stop on the road and go left here. And then eventually by the end of the tournament, you're going to look like this. And you're like, oh, if the zone goes like that, we're going to hit that perfect rotate and it's going to put us in this position and we're going to be in a god spot with max surge and we're going to be here early and this and that. Yeah, it's really not too time consuming. Just creatively think and process and update it over time.
Right, just like do it like each step at a time, like add on to it as we go.
Yep, and I don't add to my game plan daily. I add to it maybe once a week, maybe twice a week, like throughout the week.
Right. Okay.
Cool.
All right. Thank you.